Don't want to mess up your dumb potato basket.
A woman thug stole my banjo. You have a new one?
Got cheetah candy. It's pretty gross. Now I gotta poo again.
No, you just went.
Hi and welcome to Gamers Web. Here you will find news, reviews and other things related to games, gaming, cult film, cosplay and much more. Gamers Web is written by gamers for gamers. Now over to your host Mark.
Hi and welcome to Gamers Web. My name's Mark, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Walking Dead universe role-playing core rules from Free League Publishing. This was very kindly sent to me to review by the guys at Free League, and I've already reviewed the starter set, which is fantastic. Now I'm going to take a look at the core rules, which expands on the starter set. I've also done a full written review as well. Okay, so Walking Dead universe role-playing core rules, and on the back we have our blurb. This is the Walking Dead universe role-playing game. It has always been about characters facing impossible challenges in an unforgiving world. With this game you enter the world of the dead and must face these choices head on. You can do that at any point in the timeline, encountering familiar faces and locations or new ones, but the hardest choice will always be the same. Who are you going to be? So basically the game uses the Year Zero engine, which is found in the majority of games from the guys at Free League Publishing. On a side note, please, if you can hear the wind, you'll have to forgive me. I've got nowhere else in the house to actually tape, and we're in the middle of Storm Isla. It's done a lot of damage across the country, so let's crack on. Okay, so as I was saying, uses the Year Zero game engine and sets you in the universe of The Walking Dead. Now, if you haven't encountered The Walking Dead before, or you haven't watched it, basically there is an apocalypse event that takes place due to a virus being released, and the virus is 100% communicable, which basically means that everybody on the planet's infected with it. And you find this out at the end of season 1, but it's not really a secret if you watch Fear the Walking Dead, which is the sequel, because it comes out, it's at about the same time as The Walking Dead, but goes back to the beginning of the outbreak. Everybody's got the virus, so when you die, you literally will turn and come back to life again, and that makes it all the more dangerous and difficult. Okay, so let's jump in. So Free League are very good at the presentation of their games, as I'm positive that you can see just from looking at the maps. They always give fantastically detailed games with rich backgrounds for your players to immerse themselves in, and they're really fun to run as a GM because it's all cinematically story driven. Okay, so we got our first map here, which is Northeast Georgia, and the map I think is yes, it's on the back as well. So most of the TV series Walking Dead starts off in Georgia, so you start off in Atlanta, Georgia, and then they go off from Atlanta to various regions around the country, Washington DC, and I think they go up as far as Canada at one point. I'm not sure because I'm still only on season 6. Right, okay, so oh look, there's a handprint. Right, so we have our contents. We've got an introduction, which introduces you to the world of The Walking Dead, the player characters, playing the game, the world of the dead. So this is only 5 pages, so it's the past and present, the world that is, and people. Got player characters, skills and talents, combat and healing, home and away, running the game, Atlanta, which is a big setting, Golden Ambulance, which is a 8-page adventure, and then we have one of the most interesting aspects in the entire game, which is the appendix at the back, which gives you lots and lots of tables so you can generate walkers, empty rooms, random locations, NPCs, and stuff people may find scavenging. To be honest, in all the apocalyptic role-playing games that I've had the chance to look through or play, the only one that comes as close to this is Fallout Wasteland Warfare from Modifius, because the random generating charts are fantastic, and these are just as good. And then finally we got solo play, so you can actually play the role-playing game on your own. Now I'm starting to get into solo role-playing because I don't really get a chance to role-play with anybody else, and I'm going to do a video on solo gaming very shortly. Okay, so introduction. The birds were everywhere in the trees. The morning Sam died. I saw goldfinches, sparrows, nuthatches. They were singing, though it was the middle of October. At least that's how I remember it. We all gathered around his bed. He looked like a bird in a slender, small one, with his head and hands sticking out from under the blanket. Sam had been sick for quite a while. There wasn't one among us who hadn't secretly been cursing him for slowing us down and eating without contributing. I think it was cancer. He'd had it since long before the outbreak. As he fell asleep for the last time with us holding his hands, crying around him as a family, it was a thing of beauty. He was not shot in the head. He was not bitten or torn apart by living corpses. He did not get a knife in his belly. He was our Sam, and we buried him in the backyard. Oh, okay, they buried him in the backyard, and 10 minutes later he'd been a zombie. No, so the infection time for zombies in The Walking Dead varies from person to person, and the location you've been bitten or you've been scratched. If you get bitten on the neck or scratched on the neck, it might be 10 minutes to an hour. If it's on the ankle, on the foot or the arm, it could take a day. And if you're lucky, very, very lucky, as in the case of Herschel, if you're, or also Rick in the comics, if you get bitten on the arm or the leg and you get it amputated, it could save your life. Okay, so jumping back in again, tells you the usual spiel that we get in all games, which gives you a quick example of a games master talking to a player or a couple of players. The contents of the book, what's in the book, what's role playing, the games master, starter sets, which I reviewed in my other video, which I will link around here somewhere or in the description. Safety tools, which is a lot of this game, much like Alien, deals with morality. There are certain things you're going to do that might not be very PC friendly, and I mean that as in player character friendly. Some things you might find a little distressing, so it's best to actually speak them over with people, because it is a horror game. Then we've got the world of the dead. So you've got the outbreak itself, which talks to us roughly about the outbreak. The walkers. So in The Walking Dead, they're not zombies, they're classed as walkers, or roamers, biters, shufflers, stinkers. Lots of different names. Different areas have different names for The Walking Dead. Then we've got the living, who are perhaps more dangerous than the dead. The Haven is it's a non-player character for your games master. The Haven is where you put your hat, where you store your gear. If you think of like a settlement in the TV series, so the prison, Woodruff, not Atlanta. Oh, my brain's gone. I've completely forgotten the name of the big location. Alexandria. I knew it began with an A. Alexandria's a haven. The havens themselves, although they're a group of buildings and walls and stuff like that, they still have character, and your games master can have a lot of fun with them. Then you have your player characters, the people who make up the game. So what's driving them now? What do they want to do now? Where are they going to go? How are they going to get through this thing? And are they just going to sit back and cry, as so many people did in the first series? Or are they going to go out there and be someone like Rick or Michonne or Daryl and make a difference? Being a group. This game plays best with a number of players, although you can play it solo. If you do a one-on-one, I suppose it could work very well, but it's probably best to have a number of players, because then you can develop interpersonal conflict with your players, and then issues between the characters. Anchors are things that bring you back when you're almost over the edge. Then challenges, games mode. scene, setting the scene. Threat level. Threat level is it's fully detailed in the book and goes from one or two roamers around, walkers, to they're everywhere and there's a swarm of them, as seen in season 6, where you have a full sea of Walking Dead attacking the outpost. Right, okay, so this is perhaps one of the most important sections of the game here, the principles of the game. And I've written this in my review because I was really impressed with this. So you do whatever it takes to survive. You know, there's no preset to salvation. There's no bosses at the end waiting to fight against. There's no hidden traps or treasures. All there is the will to survive and the freedom to do whatever it takes to keep that up to go in another day. Death is inescapable. Everybody's going to die. Your only hope is to build barricades, but they will last only so long. You are never safe. So you're not safe in this world. Everything is out to get you in one way or another. You are not alone, which goes back to you are never safe, because there's always someone there to look after you and to help you, and you're there to help them. But again, there's always someone there who wants to take your stuff and say, you know, that's mine, I'm having that now. You're telling a story. The game works best when it's played as a number of set scenes, because like a television show, and you build up on that story. And this is perhaps the best line, which I've been using for decades as a games master. Fiction comes first. This is a game. It's not about sticking to the rules 100%. If the rules get in the way, don't just ignore them. Don't just bend them. Completely ignore them. If a rule contradicts something, ignore it and go with your own judgment. And well said and done, games like this, they're absolutely beautiful, they're works of art, but they're still a game, and the mechanics in the game are only there as a guideline for you. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. The most important part of any kind of role-playing game is the storytelling. The narrative should come first, no matter what else. The narrative should always come first, because it is a form of entertainment. You're entertaining yourself, and you're entertaining your party or your friends. So that's very, very important. Okay, so pushing and stress, your characters can push themselves to get successes when they're making skill checks, which can stress them when they push. You push too hard, you try too much, and it can be difficult. Then you got your dice rolls, D66 tables and stuff like that. Double high, double low. So the game works using D6, and you use sets of D6. One set is your normal dice, the other dice is your threat dice, and sort of stress dice, and you put those in, and it can, you know, change the balance of the game. Okay, so move on. Then we've got the World of the Dead. So this is like a quick look at what's been going on in the world of The Walking Dead. As always, the artwork is amazing. Free League Publishing has some of the best artists in the industry. Okay, so you got, this is way that we describe to our players what's happened. It's not a background of it. It's just we recognise how things go. So you tell your players what's happened. When is now, so it's set at any time in the timeline, from the beginning of the outbreak till the very last episode of I don't know, the Rick and Michonne show, or the Daryl show, or whatever. So the value of life, which is one thing that you know, like, do we leave people behind to save one person behind to save lots? Even if that person's a player character, a lot of moral stuff comes up in this game. Then we've got the different kind of walkers. Remember, they're not zombies, they're called walkers. So we've got what they need, the final death, the transmission. At the time of the outbreak, all humans were already affected by the dormant strand of the pathogen that will make them turn into walkers upon death. Provided that the brain is intact, being bitten or even scratched by a walker will also lead to lethal infection. That ends the victim dying, and then shortly thereafter reanimating as one of the Walking Dead. The only possible escape from this is to immediately amputate the wound before infection can spread. It should be noted that no other species seem to be affected by the disease. Animals do not turn into walkers, because we see animals being eaten, squirrels, rabbits, dogs being eaten, quite a lot of horses, what have you. Right, so what happens when they awaken, how long they're active, what can they do? Most of them are very lethargic and they just walk around slowly. The senses, they've got very poor eyesight because their eyes glaze over with like a cataract, but they make up with the hearing and smell, so they can smell better than most animals. They've got a really high sense of smell and their hearing is really acute, which is why in certain episodes actors, characters dress themselves up with with walkers' innards and guts and blood and stuff all over them, because it masks the smell. And they change over time. Over time they rot quite quickly, and they decompose. So it looks like they're unlike, say, the Last of Us, where over time someone who's infected with a cordyceps virus in The Last of Us will more or less evolve into one of the big, huge, hulking creatures. Here, all the zombies are the same. There's no fast zombies, there's no spitting zombies, although apparently towards the end of the series they start changing, mutating slightly, which I've not got that far, so I couldn't really tell you. Whereas here, where you're going to set your hometown, is it going to be in America? Is it going to be anywhere else in the world? Mine is set in Scotland, because I live in Scotland and I know where I'm setting it. Okay, so friends and people. People are what you need to survive, and they're very important to the game, as you would imagine. So how do you trust people? In the show they have the 3 questions. How many walkers have you killed? How many humans have you killed, and why? And then we get to the main start core of the Rulebook. So we've got the player characters, basic core aspects of the characters. We have an archetype set of characters as usual with the Year Zero games. So the way we do it is we choose an archetype, get a name for it, choose an issue and a drive, distribute 13 points among your attributes, 12 points among your skills, which makes it different from the basic template, and then you choose a talent, get your gear, and then define your relationship with other players. And then you can actually choose 2 anchors and a start and a haven. So we've got stress and anchors. These are when scary, distressing things happen. Your PC takes stress. They can also suffer stress by pushing skill rolls. Having stress lets you have stress dice to any skill roll, but all the risk of messing up and attracting walkers. Stress and stress dice is described further on. You can start the game without stress. So you've got breaking points. So lots of different things to give you your breaking points and what happens when you get to a breaking point. Okay, so an anchor gets killed or disappears, an anchor turns against you or leaves. You kill or brutally beat someone who cannot defend themselves. You are broken by damage. You have, some point in the last session, accumulated 5 stress. Something you built or struggled hard to achieve, such as your haven, gets destroyed. They can all add to stress. And much like the stress in the Alien game, where you see a chest burster coming out of a friend, that can add stress onto you as well, whereas you see somebody coming back. When you get shattered, it gives you delusional habits or bad habits or beliefs. So some of these appear in the show. So talk to the dead people. You see dead people who aren't actually there. You think the walkers are alive. So if you think back to season 4 of the show with the Mika, the little girl who, I think it was Mika, who thought that all the dead were her friends and she wanted to play with them all, and ended up killing her sister, as well as was responsible for feeding rats to the walkers outside of the jail. You protect one special walker because, like the governor, he protected his daughter. You want to die constantly, which is Morgan. Emotionally shut off, which would have been I'd say Carol in the first series. She was quite emotionally shut off. Involuntary rage, so you get mad like Rick does when he wears his murder jacket. You become paranoid, and you get an obsessive compulsive behaviour. Okay, it's a gear, what you can find from around the world. Now remember, if we're looking at, say, you want to set the game 20 years after the outbreak, the same way as they did with the after the outbreak in The Last of Us, your cars are going to be useless unless they're electric cars, and even then they're going to be useless because you've got no electricity unless you've got a generator or solar power to charge your cars, because petrol and diesel break down after about 3 years, so they become useless. This is only, I think, 2 years, 2 years or 3 years pass between episode 1 and season 8 or something like that. It's either 2 or 3 years, because I know there's a big time jump from I think it's season 7 onwards, where Rick's daughter Judith grows very, very quickly. Okay, your relationships with NPCs and the groups, character death, which can be a big impact on all your other characters. That includes the NPCs. And then we've got all these kind of things here for survivors. So we've got just a fair few here of kind of survivors. So you roll a d6 and work out what you want. So let's say we roll a 3. On a 3, we've got Betsy Anvil Hall. She's a teen punk rocker. Daniel Perez is a stockbroker. Nicola Perez, immigrant, domestic worker. Samuel Carter, construction worker, and Denise Carter, a kid. So those are one lot of survivors, and it gives you the issues that they've had. Are they trained in anything? What gear they've got? So Denise has got stealth because she's small and quick, but she's also traumatized, emotionally sensitive, and empathic, right? And these are a really, really good idea to add to your games. Haven, as I say, starting off Haven, you can go for like small Haven that can just like look after a few people, up to somewhere like Alexandria, which can house quite a lot of folk, or the prison. Okay, so we've got some starting havens here. We've got the factory, the Buzz on the Hill, the factory, the villa, and then we come into our archetypes. So we've got your criminal type, who could be classed as Merrill. You've got your doctor, a farmer like Herschel, homemaker like Carol, kid like Carl, law enforcer like Rick or Shane, the nobody, that could actually be Daryl, because he's a bit of a nobody when it comes down to things. An outcast, someone who's been outcast from the society. So Negan, politician. So the governor could be classed as a politician, but I don't think so. Preacher, scientist. He could be Eugene type character, even though he's not a scientist. Soldier, and that's the starting archetypes. It is quite simple enough to actually make your own archetypes if you don't actually like the ones in the book. Right, okay, so skills. Each character has a set of skills, and as I say, you get 12 points to split between your skills, and these are basically just round out your character. I'm not going to go through those. Combat and healing, remembering that taking on zombies is quite easy. Taking on humans is quite difficult, because you can end up getting seriously injured. So we've got a critical injuries chart. So if you take a critical injury, it tells you how long it takes before something seriously happens, like a ruptured aorta. The time limit is a minute, and then you're like seriously can't do anything. And then crushed body, disemboweled, pierced head, impaled heart, dead. Other hazards, so you've got explosions, fire, poison, disease. So the flu, pneumonia, SARS, MRSA, they're all things that you can contract quite regularly in the real world, and if you've not got any vaccines or access to any kind of medication that is not gone over, it could be deadly. Falling, people fall from heights and break limbs, can't do anything. Traps, other NPCs set traps. Fatigue and hunger, thirst, do a lot of damage to people as well. Okay, and then some of the traps, like a walker trap, which is a swarm size of 2, because zombies come in swarm sizes, and a threat level of 4. That's quite a nasty trap. Sometimes you find them inside of cargo crates and packing containers or garages, and they will rush out and attack the players as soon as they hear them. Okay, so vehicles, out of fuel. All right, so obviously if it's only a couple of, you're playing at the beginning of the outbreak, your fuel should be all right. It's just a question of looking for it. Then damage to a vehicle, damage from a vehicle, right, targeting passengers, fighting the dead. Okay, so we have a swarm size here. So 5 to 10 people as walkers is classed as a swarm size of 1, and 1,000 plus is classed as a swarm size of 6. A swarm size of 6, your players have only got one of two options: run as fast as they can, or escape as fast as they can, or I suppose they could fight, but they're never gonna survive against 1,000 or more. So they've only really got one option: run. Okay, so you got herds and you got hordes of the thing. Anything that's size 4 in the game would. Where is it? In this game, the word swarm refers to a group of walkers. It could be 5, it could be over 1,000. In the TV series, the characters use this term herd for large groups of walkers that move in a random direction and kills everything in its path. This would cover swarms of size 4 to 6 in the game. Alright, so basically anything from size 3 down is quite manageable. Size 4 up is bad. Threat level, how your threat level actually influences your stress and what have you. Then we've got a D66 walker attack, how the walkers attack you. Some of them are, like, it's a random thing, so you can use this when you're playing solo. 66, you were overrun by walkers, they tear at the flesh from your bones, you are dead. How to fight a swarm attacks, clearing out an area. And then this is home and away, this is about your haven. This is a very important chapter of the book. Tells you about how to build your haven, what makes good examples, how to defend it, going on runs to get yourself supplies. Fantastic. Then we've got this is for the GM, this is all about the running the game. So preparations, core concepts, relationships between characters and non-player characters. And then we've got all these things about faction assets and faction havens and things like that, because there are various factions that arise. So this faction here is the example, is the Black Hearts. They're about to implode. They've got a violent internal conflict. They've got hopelessness and knowledge of survival. So those are their key issues. And then you've got a Sugar Hill here, which is an example of faction. And then we go on to different locations. Scenes and sessions, right? So much like the television series, you can play this as each time you play is an episode of a series, and all the action takes place in a scene. So if you're going on a run and you make your way into a small town and you get off the bikes or get out of the car and discover that there's some other people on a run, some other scavengers on a run, and you get into a conflict, that'd be a scene, and that's how we play the scenes out. All the non-needed stuff, such as like, there's a door there, right? Oh, I can't get through the door. Oh, I'll open the door. If it's barred, you have to find a way in. But if it's not barred, you open the door and go in. It's just one of those things. You don't have to roll for everything. So we've got how you run your first session, and then how you start your next session. You set your scenes out. You can do flashback scenes, which are very, very good. Flash sideways scenes as well. I like doing things like that. And an ending scene. Challenges, lots of different kind of challenges. So you can change those for each of the characters. So you've got examples of activating a challenge. So you can see smoke on the horizon. Stranger bangs at the door and wants to let them in. Michael comes into your room at night when everyone else is sleeping and tells you that he will cut you up if you ever embarrass him again. Things like that. They're all challenges. Travel, you know, the weather, ruins, because it doesn't take very long for nature to take back from mankind, as we saw with the pandemic, that a lot of open spaces started to get very wild very quickly in the 6-7 months that the UK was under lockdown. Obviously we didn't have the extent of fires going up buildings and stuff like that, but that would happen. So we've got more things here, which is NPC encounters, loads and loads of NPC encounters. NPCs and animals, how you use animals, making the game come alive. Right. So this is breathing life into your game, and then you've got NPCs from the TV franchise. There is none deliberately given in the game. There are several in the starter set, such as Michonne and Gabriel. They're in the starter set, but they're not in this game. And then we've got the campaign set up for Atlanta. So lots of different things here. Starting havens, your map again of Northeast Georgia, which comes in the starter set. You've got a big, huge double-sided map. Various factions. You've got the Living, the Reborn, the School, swarms and locations, endgame, game on, starting challenges, Daniel Gonzalez has been taken, hunters in the forest, food shortage. So all these little tiny things, they can make a game in themselves. The Golden Ambulance, I'm just going to gloss through this very quickly because this is the adventure that comes in the game. So you've got a lot of things that are very small to the game itself, such as you decide to go on a run. You can turn going on a run into an entire night session because there's so much scope for role-playing because it's a cinematic game. Okay, so this is my favourite part of the book. This is the appendix. This gives you lots and lots of things about what kind of walkers you have, what were they, what did they look like, so you can describe them if there's only one or two. So like we've got a waiter, a priest, pizza delivery guy, a wine snob, a goth teenager, punk rocker, child with a toy, and then what kind of description they're in. Died in a sick bed, still got an infusion drip attached, hands tied up, shot through the chest, nearly drowned, body crushed, arm torn from body, lots of different things like that. Then what you've got in the rooms, each room has got a room flavour. So a shrine devoted to death and destruction, several defeated walkers, empty tents and backpacks, sign of a deadly shootout. And these keep on going. So we've got random locations like a hospital or a school, a farm, police station. And these go on for ages. They're really well done. Non-player characters. So you've got a distinctive thing about the non-player character. So high voice, cowboy hat, unicorn tattoo. Basically helps you build up your characters on the fly to give to your players. Scavenging, what can you find? Lots and lots of scavenging charts. Like I said, it's on par with Fallout Wasteland Warfare for the scavenging rule. And then you got solo play, which is creating your own solo survivor, what tools you need, how you're going to play the game, how you prepare it. You've got a progression lock, which is important to solo play. So basically, it tells you how to actually progress your narrative in a solo play. And that's the progression clock type thing. And also that's a relationship table. Issues and challenges, solo rumours, solo procedures. So these are how you play. I've not read through all of the solo play. And player forced or opposed roles, solo swarm, solo combat, end of the road, so end of the game. And then you've got your character sheets. So we've got a basic character sheet. And then on the other side we have got a haven sheet. Then we've got a challenge sheet. And then finally, we've got a travel log of the locations you've been and what you've seen. And then we have the index, which is always good. Indexes and contents are a must for all role-playing games. And then we have the bloody hand. And there we go. So that's a look through the Walking Dead universe role-playing core rules from the wonderful guys over at Free League Publishing. Sorry this is a little bit longer than usual, but I think this is a very important game, as in it's going to be very, very popular once people realise it's out. All I've got left to say is the principles of the game are very, very important. As I said when I covered them, I think, where is it, the principles of the game? These are the things that you really need to, where are we? Principles of the game. There we go, page 12. Right, there we go. So the principles of the game are very important, especially the last two. You're telling a story, and fiction comes first. But like I said earlier, when most things, because it's a horror game, there's certain things you may have to talk about with your players before you run it, because horror themes can be, you know, they can cause triggers in people. And I remember playing Cthulhu many, many years ago, and we had a really great session and thought everything went well. And then for the next 3-4 days at college, one of my friends wouldn't speak to me, and I thought I'd done something wrong. And basically, I'd terrified him when we were playing Cthulhu. And ever since then, I've always said to people, whenever I play a horror game, this is what's going to happen. Are you prepared for this? And if they say they're not prepared for it, I'll tone it down, which is a good idea. But this is why I think this is important, the principles of the game, especially that fiction comes first. Anyway, that's me waffling on. So, as always, I've been Mark. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the video, please give me a like. I very rarely get them, and a like would be really good. And my many thanks once again go to Bo from Free League Publishing and all the guys over at Free League. And I'll hopefully see you all soon. No matter where you are in the world, please stay safe, look after yourself, and take care. Goodbye.